My name is Henry Brooke. I was a lawyer and a judge for nearly 50 years. I retired 10 years ago, and the month after I retired, I had a letter from Susie Baskin asking me to a PBI event.
I met Sir Henry Brooke in 2006, and Sir Henry was one of those hundreds that happened to be invited to the event. I remember when he walked into the building where the event was happening, and I remember me asking him, "How should I call you?" And it was like there was like an instant connection between us.
After the event at the Snetterburgers, I asked Susie whether there was any other way I could help, and I went up to see her in her office in Highgate 9 years ago, 8 years ago, I can't remember which. And one of the problems was to get the British human rights lawyers interested in what PBI was. She'd written to lots and lots and lots of them. Half didn't answer, half said no, and the other half who said yes. Only about 10 of them turned up. It was part of the course so far as I'm concerned, but it was a learning experience for her. So we had to work out how to access them better.
He said, what is it that you need? What exactly do you think is the way I can help you? But what was very clear to me is that he was genuinely interested in making a difference to the lives of those lawyers that PBI protects.
His qualities, I don't think, changed very much from the first time I knew him. He was slightly shambolic. He was like a rather large and friendly bear with a great head of hair, which was usually a bit untidy. And that was entirely deceptive, because he was amazingly industrious and enthusiastic for everything he did. But underneath all of that was a great love of his fellow men, which he kept throughout his life. He was immensely sympathetic to other people, and particularly to the underdog. And I think that's something that marked his entire career and his time after he retired.
Sir Henry was a very gentle soul. He would often, you wouldn't notice he was in the room. He was sometimes quiet, he would be there watching and observing and not always necessarily talking, but he was extremely insightful, very, very smart, and his deep compassion, would allow him to connect with the issues in a very profound way.
He was always calm, he was always courteous, he always looked on the best side of life, looked for the best in people. His altruism, really, his devotion to other people at the expense of himself, was an example.
I wanted to help because it was obviously something which was well worth supporting. In a sense, it was a new area for me. There were very, very brave lawyers risking their lives for their clients, and there were these remarkable volunteers going out to assist them. And if there was any way in which I could help galvanize interest in the English human rights world, in what they were doing, and to provide more support for them, well, seeing that I was completely retired, that was something I could do.
The most important thing is that Sir Henry was always available to meet with human rights defenders. He was very genuinely interested in having this human contact with human rights defenders, learning about their stories, learning about their struggles, understanding the legal cases they were involved in. He gave them a lot of support just by meeting them, just by listening to them, trying his best to find a way to support them. That was immensely valuable for them as individuals and for us. And the truth is that PBI, over the course of the last 10, 12 years, we've extended our networks within the legal profession immensely.
Susie Baskin has thrown her whole life into PBI. She believes in it, she lives it, every waking moment, and she communicates her enthusiasm to others in the nicest possible way. And so we're all inspired to help if we can. As long as they're useful things I can do for Susie, and she seems to think that I can twist people's arms in a way that others may not be able to, then fine.
If you needed anybody to do anything, the first person you would ask is Henry, and if he could, he would no doubt do it himself. If he couldn't, you could then fairly usually rely upon him to put his finger on somebody else who would do the job for you, and make sure that they did too.
No matter how many requests, no matter how many times, how many opportunities we would make him part of, he would almost say yes to everything.
Henry was always campaigning for something, usually campaigning for several things. And again, he had this ability to get his friends and acquaintances involved in the many projects that he was keen on or supporting.
My philosophy has always been that we've all got an awful lot to learn. Yes, we are lucky. Yes, we take things for granted. Yes, we haven't had a judge convicted of corruption for 200 years. And when I go around the world, and it's not only with PBI, with the Slynn Foundation in Eastern Europe, with the Commonwealth judges in Black Africa and the Caribbean, one sees brave lawyers standing up for the rule of law, wanting to join in partnerships with us. And it's a partnership of equals. It's not a partnership of teachers and learners in any way. And it is really quite inspiring to be able to be involved in that partnership.